I'm just calling to say I
What's up guys, Rage Quitting here, back with another video guide for you guys, and today we're going to talk about some Demon Hunter macros. Fortunately, Demon Hunter as a class itself does not require the use of a whole bunch of different macros, just a handful that I think are pretty important, so I'm going to share it with you today. So the first one here I have is a Fell Blade macro that's also a stop casting macro as well, and a couple other things in here. So the stop casting part is pretty important for the hunt. So if you're ever winding up the hunt and you see that they react to it as you're winding it up and you want to cancel it, like let's say for example, you're about to hunt into a rogue and he turns on evasion, or into an arms warrior and he turns on die by the sword, or a shadow priest who hits dispersion, so you could easily just add a /stop casting to any button that you want and use that button to stop cast. So I have mine on Fell Blade, so if I were to wind up the hunt and I see that they react to something, I can hit my Fell Blade and it'll cancel the cast of the hunt, right? So here, let me go ahead and show you an example real quick so you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm targeting the PvP training dummy. I'm gonna go ahead and wind up the hunt, and then I'm gonna cancel it with Fell Blade, and it looks like this, right? Boom, cancel. Wind it up, cancel, right? Wind it up, cancel. So a lot of higher rated Demon Hunters do this trick to kind of bait cooldowns out of enemy players, because people are looking for the hunt and they will react to it, right? So you could do a couple of these to try and bait some cooldowns, and if they use it, then you can just hold off on your hunt until their cooldowns are not running anymore, and then go ahead and hunt them afterwards, okay? So that's a little trick that you guys can do. Along with the stop casting macro, I have this /cast at arena pet 1, 2, and 3, and it's torment, so my single target taunt. This is a little trick I learned while maining warrior back in Shadowlands, so I'm not 100% sure if it still works or not, but I just have it in there anyway. So whenever you hit your Fell Blade on that same button, you will also target arena pets and just taunt them. Sometimes it used to be used for against hunters, like when you're about to get like trapped or something, like frost trap, and if you hit this button, you'll attempt to taunt their pet and their pet would hit you and break you out of your trap. Once again, not 100% sure if it works or not right now, but it's still in there anyway. Okay, so there's a stop casting macro with the taunt arena pets. A little thing that I used to use, I don't really use it so much anymore, but maybe it'll be easier in 2s, but you could also add like a focus arena command in there as well. So let's say for example I queue into a shaman, warrior, or whatever, and I want to make sure that the healer is always my focus target, then I can make this /focus arena 1 or /focus arena 2 depending on which one they are, and no matter what, they will just always be my focus target. As long as I'm hitting Fell Blade, that focus target will stay the same. But that's just an additional thing. I don't really use it so much anymore. That's why I have a double line over here to kind of stop that from working. Okay, moving on to the next one here. This is a really nice one, Metamorphosis, casting it at your cursor. So /cast at cursor, Metamorphosis, and this is just so that you don't have to take an extra click. Anything that you can use a at cursor macro for warrior, I use it on my heroic leap. For mage, I use it on frozen orb, just to make that cast a little bit quicker, and I don't have to click the ground in order to do it. As long as you are familiar with the range of your spell, you can use at cursor macros to make it a little bit faster to just do the ground targeting. So for example here, you can see my mouse here. I'm gonna put it over here and then just go ahead and hit the button for Metamorphosis, and then it'll just take me there without having to click the ground. So it looks like this. Okay, just a small thing to make things a little bit faster. Okay, moving to the next one here. This is for my darkness. So this is more so when I'm playing with people that I'm not in comms with. Because if I'm in voice comms, then I'll tell people that I'm dropping darkness. But if I'm not in comms with them, then my darkness will /yell, my darkness. So like this. Okay, and I can keep spamming that button so that it keeps popping up right here in the chat, and people can see that I dropped it. So that's just a little thing. You don't really have to use that, but that's what I use. So I just have a little my darkness, yell there whenever I drop darkness. All right, moving over, we got focus macros and arena 1, 2, 3 macros for interrupts and for imprison. So show tooltip, disrupt, and then slash cast at focus disrupt. So if you right clicked on the arena frames or you set somebody as your focus target, you don't have to tab over to them in order to interrupt them. Let's say, for example, it's like a shadow priest that I have on focus and I'm attacking the other guy. Maybe it's like a warlock or something. If I'm near enough to land a kick without having to tab target over to him, then you can do it with the focus interrupt macro, just like so. Okay, so the whole point of focus macros and arena macros is so that you don't have to target them. It does save you a little bit of time if you do use the focus or the arena macros, and especially in threes. Let's say it's a 3v3 and everybody's kind of clumped up together, so your tab target might miss. It might go to the wrong guy. So just having an arena macro or a focus macro helps with that, so you're not fumbling around with the tab targeting, right? So moving on, I have a focus kick macro. I also have a focus fell eruption, so my single target stun, mostly for the healer, right? If I'm attacking the DPS and I want to make sure that the healer can't heal, then I'll just make sure the healer is already set to my focus target, stun him, and then keep attacking the DPS without having to switch my targeting back and forth, right? Same thing goes here for the arena macros. So I also have arena 1, 2, 3 macros for interrupts and for imprison. So if you look over here on my sidebar here, I have like shift mouse wheel up, shift mouse wheel down, and the button mouse click for 1, 2, 3 imprisons, and then I also have shift 7, shift 8, and shift 9 on my side of my mouse here for interrupts. So, and it's the same on my mage. Like I have arena 1, 2, 3 polymorph, arena 1, 2, 3 counterspell. So stuff like that. To write that, it looks like this, right? So show tooltip slash cast at arena 1, inside of the brackets imprison, and then I also have this set to a focus, automatic focus target arena 1. So if I'm not in range and I want to just set arena 1 as my focus target, I could just hit this button and it'll just set them as my focus target. So then the next time if I wanted to use a focus macro, I could, or whatever, right? So there it is right there. And then, so same thing with the show tooltip, interrupts, you know, arena 2 disrupt, arena 2 imprison, arena 3 disrupt, arena 3 imprison, okay? And then the last couple macros I have here is a focus target for the sigil of misery. So this one combos very well with, you know, focus target stun, focus target imprison, and then focus target sigil of misery for a very long extended crowd control on like the enemy healer, for example, with just me. So by myself, I can do a pretty long CC chain on the enemy healer for 4 plus another 4 plus, you know, another 6 seconds. So pretty long CC chain here. Okay, so focus target, sigil of misery. And just a little tip for the sigil of misery: if you are going to use it to crowd control chain on the enemy healer or the off target or whatever, it takes 2 seconds for the sigil to go off. So you need to make sure that you're keeping track of the arena frames or the character itself on big debuffs. You can see the cooldown of how long the CC is going to last from your previous one. So let's say, for example, I do an imprison. I want to make sure that I'm casting the sigil of misery as soon as that imprison timer goes down to 2 seconds, because sigil of misery takes 2 seconds to activate. So you want to not have any gaps there to make sure that the chain goes off, right? So just a little tip right there. Okay, so that's slash focus sigil of misery. And then the last macro I have here for Demon Hunter is a trinket nether walk macro. So having this just saves a little bit of time, because sometimes you really need to trinket and nether walk, but then in between the trinket and then the nether walk, you could get hit with another, you know, stun. For example, let's say like a rogue comes out and kidney shots you for full duration, and then as soon as you trinket, he'll cheap shot you, right? You kind of need to be able to time it. Having a trinket nether walk just kind of helps a little bit, just to make it a little bit faster to go into nether walk, so that you're not crowd controlled again in that, you know, very fraction of a time it took you to hit trinket and then hit nether walk, right? So having it all in one button helps a little bit, right? So it just works kind of like this, you know, you just spam the one button for your nether walk and it'll trinket nether walk. Okay, so those are the macros that I'm using currently for Demon Hunter. You could do a little bit more with maybe the hunt. You could have like a hunt arena 1, 2, 3 macro. Actually, that's a good idea. I should probably do that, because a lot of the times you could fake out who you're actually going to hit with the hunt, right? You could target one guy, start casting the hunt. They think it's going to be on one guy, but then it's really going to another one, because you have it, you know, arena 1, 2, 3, or like a focus hunt macro or whatever, right? But that's going to be it for this guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on another one. Peace.